Good morning, everyone. My name is Benedicte Colin, and I'm the the federal president for the French Chamber of Commerce. Welcome today. This is our last day of the business days. I hope you've enjoyed it and learned a lot. And today it is really my privilege to welcome the ambassador designate Jean-Pierre Thebault to speak provide his first allocation to the French business and Australian communities. Mr. Thebault just arrived literally, I think it's yesterday, so it's very, very kind of him to give us a little bit of time. Two things. First of all, as some of you may know, this week is the National Aboriginals and Islander Day Observance Week, and I would like to pay my respects to the Aboriginal people of the land and the traditional owner of the land, and pay my respect to the elders past and present. I also would like to give you a little bit of background on Mr. Jean-Pierre Thebault, who prior to joining us was the ambassador in charge of the preparation of the French G7 presidency. Prior to that, Mr. Thebault was the French ambassador in Ireland, and he is also extremely familiar with the region of Asia Pacific, having had roles in Hong Kong and Tokyo, if I remember correctly. So, Mr. Thebault, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us today, and I'll let you provide a few minutes with us.
Thank you, Benedict, for these kind words. Dear Benedict, dear friends, chers amis, it's indeed, I just arrived yesterday in Australia, and I'm currently under quarantine in Canberra. This is my first public engagement as a designate French ambassador, and I'm particularly delighted for it to occur on the occasion of the French-Australia-New Zealand Business Days, organized by FATSHI with the full support of Team France. I'm aware that these business days have become an important feature in the French-Australian calendar, and I'm impressed by the very packed program of seminars and keynote addresses held this week. They are a reflection of the ever-growing strengths of the economic relation between France and Australia, and shows that France and Australia remain fully open for business in the time of COVID. By saying that, it is not my intention to downplay the severity of the crisis that we are all currently facing. The world will face this year an unprecedented recession, France and Australia being sadly no exceptions. The trade between our two countries has also taken a hit. As of September, French export to Australia have decreased by 3% on a yearly basis, and our imports by 27%. Travel between our two countries is almost impossible, and I know that it affects personally many of you who are kindly listening to me this morning. In this difficult context, I see my mission as the one of the embassy as contributing as vigorously as possible to help the resumption of flows and exchanges between France and Australia. We want to see trade picking up again, business prospection happening, and the 1 million Australians who were visiting France each year before the crisis coming back as soon as possible. I am obviously not in a position to make any promises or prediction at this stage, but be assured that it is a very clear priority for us, for all the team, and that you will get the full support, my support, and the support of Team France. And while we are dealing with the crisis, France and Australia keep on building up their relationship, however. I said that France and Australia, our two countries, are open for business, and this is also true in the diplomatic field. The work on Indo-Pacific is progressing as exemplified by the institution of joint consultations between France, Australia, and India, with very practical consequences in maritime cooperation in the Indian Ocean. In multilateral fora, such as the WHO or G20, or last year in G7, France and Australia do effectively coordinate their position on questions such as debt alleviation for developing countries, for example. On a bilateral basis, Our head of states and government are in regular contact, and our military cooperation is working well, notably with the submarine program on track, in spite of what some journalists love to sometimes allege. Following the visit to Australia of Minister Vidal last year, our research is also expanding, for instance, in the field of space, where Australia is increasing substantially its efforts. In the economic sector, cooperation is also increasing and flourishing. The first ministerial dialogue on trade and investment was held last November during Minister Le Drian's visit and was very successful. We plan to organize a second edition soon to sustain the growing business links and also discussion between our two countries. In the last months, for instance, we had confirmation that a major Australian bank has decided to set up their continental Europe headquarters in Paris, whilst in Australia, companies like Neoen, Total, NG, Keolis, Transdev, to name a few, have registered spectacular successes. Our common challenge is to build on this very strong base to expand the relationship to new and promising areas, and of course, generate new business opportunities. Let me name a few examples. Infrastructures. You have discussed at length, I understand, about it in the last 3 days. Suffice it to say that infrastructures will be key to the economic recovery in both countries, and business opportunities are plentiful. There is also underway to foster joint infrastructure investment in the Pacific. Hydrogen, again, a strong priority for both of our countries, because hydrogen is one of the key that will help decarbonize the economy, industry, and mass transportation in particular. French companies are already very active in this field in Australia and are eager for more country-to-country cooperation. Renewable energy and critical minerals. Australia is certainly a lucky country when it comes to renewable energy and critical minerals, and French companies are certainly exceedingly active, if not leaders in the sector. There are also considerable investment opportunities in France that Australian funds are aware of it. Tech. This is a somewhat new area of cooperation between our two countries and companies on both sides, and they need to get to know each other better. There is a vibrant tech scene in Australia, I heard. I have in mind the names of Atlassian, Canvas, and others. There is a vibrant tech scene also in France, Startups Nation. Think of La French Tech, Station F, the world's biggest startup campus, Vivatech, and so on. We need to help our companies to meet and create close ties. It is therefore clear in my mind that the potential of business development between France and Australia is staggering, and we cannot wait for the COVID crisis to disappear to work on it. I also welcome the fact that FTA negotiations between the EU and Australia have kept promising at a steady pace, progressing at a steady pace. Much still needs to be done, and we need to ensure that this agreement displays a strong climate dimension. Once this is achieved, I'm confident that this FTA will help business prosper. As I take my position as a new ambassador, I am clearly convinced of the importance of the economic dimension of our relationship with Australia. I am at your service, at the service of our companies, at the service of all persons who so actively work to develop these ties, to develop further, to support you through FATCI and together with all the members of Team France for these new opportunities. I'm very glad you gave me this first opportunity just after my arrival to speak to you. I'm looking forward to meeting many of you, if not all of you, very soon. And you can be sure and reassured that it is my commitment and also my privilege to be able to work with you. Thank you a lot.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thebault, for this very kind education and sharing with us your ambition and goals to enhance and promote the business relationship between our two countries. There is indeed lots to do. I hope you have some time to rest in the next 14 days, and we look really forward to meeting you in person. In the meantime, please enjoy the platform. There's heaps of really good panels to listen to. So look forward to seeing you in person. Thank you.
Thank you a lot, Benedicte. Have a very good day, and a very good day to all of you.
Thank you.